Hey everyone, this is Louis7. Today I have a sort of PSA type LOTRO news video because unfortunately the small reputation accelerator tomes are going to be removed from the skirmish camp in the next patch, which will be Wednesday, May 25th, also known as tomorrow from this video in update 33.0.5. And usually the maintenance, I believe for this one, yes, it will be 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time, which is server time. But with that little bit of news, the point of this video is to tell you all that now is the time to spend your marks and medallions. And the reason for that is because reputation accelerator tomes are basically the only thing that are consistently worth purchasing with your marks and medallions, especially if you have a whole bunch of marks and medallions. And these are honestly the only thing I really spend for marks and medallions. So where I am here is a skirmish camp. I just happen to be in the one in 21st Hall in Moria, but you can go to any skirmish camp, and we are going to look for the curiosities vendor. And that is where you can get the small reputation accelerator tomes. If you have a lot of marks and medallions, like I at least used to on the server, I had over 250,000. So I'm going to get over 1,000 of these tomes. They also do cost medallions, but it doesn't seem like all that many. It's only 25 medallions each. So basically just sit here and click a whole bunch and get those. Now, if you are curious about spending marks and medallions in general, just as a little tip, there are some other things, but again, that is what I most consistently purchase. And because that feature is going to be removed tomorrow, I recommend going ahead and getting those. So maybe after this update, or if you're just totally not interested in the rep accelerators for some reason, some other things you can purchase are the actual rep items. Now, just a point with those, you do have to complete certain quests to use those, but otherwise they're very useful. But there's one thing I want to point out is the Essence Reclamation Scroll that does cost marks and medallions, but it also costs seals. And seals you have to run, as far as I know, you have to run skirmish raids, 12-man versions of the skirmishes. And unfortunately, in the currency exchange vendor, there's no way to barter seals. You have to have these superior fourth mark, don't even know what anymore, but yeah, those are honestly the two things that I purchased the most, and I don't even get many Essence Reclamation Scrolls because I don't do many scrades for the seals that again require seals. Other things are just general cosmetics, but those are usually one-off purchases that are more situational purchases for your character. There's also the level 45 class items. There's of course random pieces of gear scattered about, and then well, you can also level up your skirmish soldier, get them some new stuff, all that sort of stuff. And at least at the low levels you can get some pretty decent potions, but usually I don't find it worth spending marks and medallions on potions. But after circling around and just double checking everything, even for myself, I believe for consistent purchases, the only other thing would really be crafting, and this is only useful up to a certain point. So if we go for something, say we go something like Forester, you can get a bunch of bulk recipes for all the gathering ones, is going to be what that is. But if we look at something like Tailor, just because I'm really familiar with that, you can get the critical items that are necessary or to increase your crit chance when crafting. You can get that up to the level 95. No, you can get up to the 100, 105, the Anorian tier of crafting. You can get the rare crafting mats for that, is what I'm trying to say in short. And you can also get some expertise recipes to give you crafting XP. I wouldn't really recommend using those. And the other thing is going to be these scroll cases with the one-off recipes from each of the tiers up to Westamnet, starting at Journeyman, of course. So for example, these would have like level 20 armor. If I actually go ahead and open one here, I know my inventory is a huge mess, but we got that, opened it, and it's one of the level 20 pieces of armor sets there. And honestly, nowadays, I wouldn't really recommend getting these scroll cases anymore, but they do have those pieces of gear that are craftable, but again, it is random what you get from opening those, and it can eventually add up in price. Otherwise, again, besides gear and some raid sets that you can get at the classic vendor and more of those one-off type purchases, cosmetics, all that sort of stuff, I don't really think there's anything worth consistently spending your marks and medallions on. And in summary, again, that is why I recommend going ahead and purchasing as many rep accelerator tomes that you can before the patch tomorrow. Now, a patch as small as this one usually isn't worth its own LOTRO news video, but again, I just wanted to point out with these small reputation accelerator tomes, more of a public service announcement to go ahead and spend your marks and medallions for those before tomorrow. It does say they still can be earned weekly. That is 1 weekly, and it's actually 2 weekly, 1 for 15 missions weekly, 1 for 45 missions weekly, and if you're at the level cap, you get 2 sets of each of those, so you could get up to 4 weekly. But anyway, the whole point is that is 1 weekly that you can get from the mission bonus, which is significantly fewer than you can get from the skirmish camp. And The other only source is going to be the LOTRO store. So this seems like after all the great monetization changes, they had to just think of something to negatively impact us that very much so seems to be pushing you towards the LOTRO store. But anyway, that is, yeah, what is going on there and my thoughts on the unfortunate situation with that. But otherwise, I did want to point out, just to have something a little bit positive in this video, the new non-legendary item bridles are going to be added to the game. And these essentially replace the legendary item bridles that we have now. Don't know what they look like. It said stat scaled appropriately across level bands pertinent to mounted combat. If I remember correctly, that would definitely be to 100, but I don't think there is mounted combat up to 105. I know the last area with like real mounted combat is going to be level 100. I remember that in Old Anorian. I just don't remember if the post-battle stuff in Gondor has any mounted enemies, but I definitely know up to level 100, which actually makes the next few lines a little bit odd. They have Eastamnet, which is associated with below level 100. That miscellany quartermaster found in various Rohan hubs doesn't mention anything about Gondor, where there is mounted combat as well. You can purchase bridles there by bartering, and also it looks like the tutorial will give you a selection of non-LI bridles. I also don't know if these new items will drop off enemies. There doesn't seem to be any indication that they will, but don't know. Maybe if they're just regular gear-like items added to the game, they will drop on level appropriate mobs as well, and maybe you can get them up to 100. But yeah, at the very least, this is a start towards getting us to better bridles and disassociating that with the legendary item system. So that was good to see, and a little bit of good news here to end this video on. Otherwise, we can start getting ready for the Midsummer Festival here, and I will leave you all with that. I hope you all did enjoy this video and hopefully learn something useful about Skirmish Camp, spinning mercs and medallions, and the rep accelerators. And if you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or becoming a channel member to support the content. And thanks for watching, everyone.